Hello students, welcome back. Once again, this is Dr. Mercado speaking. This is Accounting 1329, Payroll and Business Tax Accounting. And this week we are going to be continuing covering the chapter on Chapter 2, which deals with computing wages and salaries. Now, Chapter 2 is critical for this course as it allows us to learn different ways of calculating regular pay, overtime pay, reading different time cards, calculating commission, piece rate earnings. There's just so much information included in Chapter 2 that we will continue to apply throughout the rest of the course. By now, everyone should have read Chapter 2. If you have not read it, please go back and read it, okay? Please review the PowerPoint presentation posted or uploaded into Blackboard. That way you can have a supplemental study material. Okay, this week I'm going to go over, I've selected some of the problems from your homework. I am not going to go through every single homework problem. I'm going to let you all tackle some of those on your own. But I have selected a couple that I will be going over that will be either on your regular exam or you'll be seeing later on in your final exam. So these are important problems that I need for you to understand. That is why I'm taking the time to cover them. Okay, so let's get started. The first exercise that we're going to be covering in this lecture is exercise 210. Okay, let me transfer over. Now, exercise 210 can be overwhelming by looking at it. There's a lot of information included. Okay, when we have these long problems, it's very important that we tackle them piece by piece and that we understand what the information provided is telling us. Okay, so this problem reads, Potts Incorporated recently converted from a 5-day 40-hour work week to a 4-day 40-hour work week, with overtime continuing to be paid at 1.5 times the regular hourly rate for all hours worked beyond 40 in the week. Okay, so employees are still going to work 40 hours a week, but instead of working 5 days, now they're going to work 4 days. Okay, and they're still going to get paid time and a half for any hours over 40. In this company, time is recorded under the Continental System as shown on the time card. So we're going to learn how to read a time card using the Continental System. Sue Ellen Boggs is part of the Group B employees whose regular work week is Tuesday through Friday. The working hours each day are from 8 to 12, from 12:30 to 16:30, and from 18 to 20 hours. The company disregards any time before 8 a.m., between 12 and 12:30, and between 16:30 and 1800, and permits employees to ring in up to 10 minutes late before any deduction is made for tardiness. Deductions are made to the nearest 1/4 of an hour for workers who are more than 10 minutes late in ringing in. So that is very important. So if an employee is more than 10 minutes late, they're going to get docked 1/4 of an hour. So what does that equate to? Well, you get 1 divided by 4, and that means that for every 10 minutes that you're late, if you're late more than 10 minutes, you're going to get docked 0.25 hours. Okay? Okay, they're asking us to refer to the time card and compute the daily total hours, the total hours for the week, the regular weekly earnings, the overtime earnings, and the total weekly earnings. So we have 5 different calculations to do here, okay? And this is the time card that we have, okay? And we are using the Continental System. The hourly rate is provided on the card. It's $10.45 an hour. The overtime rate is also provided at 15.675, okay? So that is what we have going on for this particular employee. They have remarks here. It says that 13 minutes late on Thursday, we have to deduct 1/4 of an hour. So they actually even give you don't have to do much of thinking. They're already letting you know that on one day the employee was tardy 13 minutes. We have to dock that employee 1/4 of an hour, and that's on Thursday. Okay, so we're going to use that information to complete our requirements. Okay, so the first requirement is to calculate the total daily hours. Okay, so let's start with Tuesday. Let me see. I'm going to move this up here just so we can have next to each other. Okay, we're looking at the time card. Okay, so Tuesday, we came in at 7:55. We should have come in at 8, but the problem says the company disregards any time before 8 a.m. between 12 and 12:30, and between 16:30 and 18. So if you come in a couple of minutes late, they're not going to pay you for it, okay? You should be clocking in at 8, okay? So we're going to assume that that employee clocked in at 8. They worked till 12, okay? So what I did over here is I got my work week, okay? The Continental System. Now, the Continental System is basically just a method of recording time on time cards in which the day is divided into a 24-hour period with time running from 12 midnight to 12 midnight. Okay, so we're going to start at 8 to 12, that's 4 hours. And then from 12:30 to 16:30, that's 4 hours. And then from 18 hours to 20 hours, that's 2 hours. So this is my normal work week. That's going to give me 10 hours a day. Okay. Now, if you're not comfortable with the Continental System, well, what would that look like in regular time? Well, the 8 to 12 stays the same. That's 4 hours. And then from 12:30 to 4:30, that would be the other 4 hours. And then from 6 to 8 p.m., that would be the other 2 hours. Okay, this is the regular time. Okay, so from 7:55, we're going to assume that's 8 because we don't pay if you clock in 5 minutes early. To 12, that's good. From 12:30 to 16:30, that's my regular work week. And then we clocked in a minute late, but that's fine. They don't dock you unless you're more than 10 minutes late. This was just 1 minute. And then you clocked out at 2 minutes late, which is fine. According to the problem, the company disregards any time before these hours and permits employees to ring up to 10 minutes late. So we're good. So there's some minor adjustments here, but there's nothing that we need to penalize the employee for. So we're going to consider it a full work day, okay? From 8 to 12, from 12:30 to 16:30, and then these are just less than 10-minute adjustments, so we're not going to worry about them. So the employee worked on Tuesday 10 hours, okay? On Wednesday, the employee clocked in 10 minutes before schedule, but we're going to disregard that because the problem says to do so. It says the company disregards any time before 8 a.m. Okay, so we're going to disregard that they clocked in early. Then they clocked out 2 minutes late. That's fine. 2 minutes is still acceptable. They clocked in a minute late. A minute is acceptable. They clocked out a minute late. 1 minute is acceptable. And then they clocked in 9 minutes late. It's still within the 10-minute allowance here that we're giving you 10 minutes to be late. And then they clocked out 1 minute late. So the employee on Wednesday did not exceed the 10-minute time frame. They always clocked in before that 10-minute mark, so they're not going to get penalized, okay? And the employee is not going to get paid for that extra 10 minutes because the problem states that any time before 8 a.m. will be disregarded. So because they clocked in early, we're going to assume they clocked in at 8. So on Wednesday, the employee worked another 10 hours, okay? Now let's look at our remarks. It says that on Thursday, we have to deduct 1/4 of an hour. So we are on Thursday. On Thursday, the employee clocked in at 8:13. That's 13 minutes late. Because it's 13 minutes late, we are going to dock them 1/4 of an hour, which 1/4 of an hour we had said was 0.25 hours. Okay? So the employee clocked in 13 minutes late. They're going to get penalized. Then they clocked in at 12, 12:30, 16:30. That's perfect. That's the normal schedule. And then 18:02, they clocked in 2 minutes late, but that's acceptable. And then they clocked out 5 minutes late. That's acceptable. They're given 10 minutes to either clock in late for their different breaks. So the only item affecting the employee on Thursday is that they clocked in 13 minutes late at 8 in the morning. So they are going to get penalized 0.25. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get 100. And then we're going to subtract the 0.25 deduction. I'm sorry, it's not 100. It's 1 minus the 0.25 deduction. So on this day, the employee earned 9 hours, 9.75 hours because we are deducting 0.25 hours for being 13 minutes late. Okay. So we deduct 0.25, so that means that 0.75 hours is what's going to be left. So on Thursday, the employee worked 9.75 hours. Okay. Why? Because they're getting docked 0.25 hours for being late, clocking it 13 minutes late. Okay. On Friday, the employee clocked in at 7:59. That's fine. We're going to consider it 8. They clocked out at 12:03, 3 minutes late. That's still acceptable. They clocked in at 12:38. They clocked in 8 minutes late. That's still acceptable because they're permitted to ring in up to 10 minutes late. They clocked out at 16:35. They clocked out 5 minutes late. That's still acceptable. Clocked in at 18, clocked out at 20. That's perfect. So we didn't have any adjustments on Friday. All of the little adjustments that we have are within what is permitted by the company, that 10-minute mark that they have. So no deductions will be made on Friday. So that means that they worked 10 hours on Friday. Now, if we look on Saturday, the employee worked from 8 to 12:01. Okay, they clocked out 1 minute late, but that's acceptable. They're not gonna get paid for that 1 minute, so we're gonna assume they work from 8 to 12. That is 4 hours. Okay, so now that we have that, we have all our daily hours worked. I can add those hours for the week. And that gives me 43.75 hours. Okay. Now we have to figure out the regular weekly earnings. Okay. Regular hours are 40 hours. Okay. So we've got 40 hours. And I'm going to multiply by my rate. And your rate is given right here. Hourly rate. Okay. My hourly rate is $10.45. Okay. And let's see what that gives us. So it's 40 hours times 10.45. That gives me $418. Okay. Now we have to figure out the overtime earnings. Well, how many hours did they work over 40? Well, they worked 3.75 hours over 40. And now let's look at our overtime earnings. Okay. Our overtime rate is 15.675. That is provided to you in the problem. Okay. 15.675. Okay, so we're going to multiply by 15.675. And let's see what that gives us. Let's get our calculators. That's 3.75 hours times 15.6. Oh, sorry about that. Let's start all over. 3.75 times 15.675. That gives me 58.78125. We're going to round to 2 decimals. Okay, so let's look at that third digit. That third digit is a 1. If it's from a 0 to a 4, you keep that 8 as is. If it's anything greater than a 5, then you convert that 8 into a 9. Because the third digit is a 1, I'm going to keep it at 58.78. Okay? Okay, now we can get our total weekly earnings. Okay, our total weekly earnings is the sum of your regular pay plus your overtime pay. And that will give you 476.78. Okay, so that is how much the employee earned by working the 40 hours regular pay and then 3.75 hours of overtime during their work week. Okay. So this is an example of a Continental System using, we're using a Continental time card to be able to calculate our weekly hours. And then once we get our weekly hours, we can calculate our weekly pay. Okay. It's very important that you understand the information provided. If you don't understand the Continental, you can transfer it to the regular if it helps you understand the time better. It's important to understand when are we going to deduct. The problem says here that the company permits employees to ring in 10 minutes late before any deduction is made for tardiness. Okay, and then if the employee is more than 10 minutes late, they're going to get docked 1/4 of an hour. Okay, so you just divide 1/4 to get I'm sorry. So you can get the amount of the deduction. Okay, so we know that for if you're more than 10 minutes late, you're going to get docked 0.25 hours. Okay, so that is basically the problem. It's just a matter of reading, and this problem, they make it really easy for you because they give you the adjustments right there. There's only one adjustment, which is on Thursday, for that deduction caused by being 13 minutes late on Thursday morning. Okay, so I hope this helps you. I know some students have issues reading time cards. In this case, they're going from the morning all the way to the evening. Make sure that we read it carefully so we can understand. Instead of reading it across, we're having to read it up. So just pay attention to the format of the time card. And then once you have your total hours, you can easily calculate your regular pay and your overtime earnings. Okay, so that is it for exercise 210. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me Monday through Friday, and I will be more than glad to try to help you as much as I can. Make sure to include your question number, your attempted solution, and your specific questions or concerns so I can review the information and get back with you and provide some guidance. Okay, so that is it for this lecture. Until next time, thank you.